Hello everyone, welcome to a new week and a new set of government guidance. So this is the EYFS coronavirus disapplication. So what do we mean by disapplication? Well, if you think of it as an exemption, it's an exemption from the current requirements of the framework, and this exemption comes about in special circumstances. So, where you are working and delivering care to vulnerable children and children of key workers, these exemptions will hopefully make life a little easier for you and allow a little greater flexibility, particularly where staffing is concerned for larger settings. So these changes came into force on the 24th of April and they'll continue until the government advises otherwise. So we've just summarised a few of the key points, but obviously advise you to look closely at the guidance as well. So in terms of key points, in terms of children's learning and development, we have seen some amazing activities that you've been posting in all of our Facebook groups and that you've shared with us through our Unsung Heroes campaign. So we know you are doing an amazing job of delivering those 7 areas of learning to those children. However, what the exemption is saying is that it's okay if on occasions you're not able to meet all of those 7 areas of learning for all of those children for all of the time. So carry on doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job around those learning and development requirements. In terms of assessment, you are not required to complete a progress check for children aged 2 during this time. But obviously you know your children really well, you know how they're developing, and you would also continue to be aware of any emerging concerns, and so you would continue to manage those concerns in the way that you always have. So the next point to consider is around paediatric first aid. So childminders still have to maintain a current paediatric first aid certificate, but you may remember there was discussion around the validity of the current certificates, and you can obviously, these can be extended for up to 3 months, and this is obviously if you can't currently access a course for whatever reason, and this applies to certificates that were going to expire on or after the 16th of March this year. In larger settings, the requirements of paediatric first aid have changed, and this is because if you think around the exemptions that we talked about very early on, this is around thinking about the flexibility and the challenges really in terms of staffing that there might be for those larger settings. So if you have children under 2 in larger settings, then you would obviously need to have a member of staff on the premises at all times that had a current paediatric first aid certificate. And the reason they've chosen children of this age group, the under 2s if you like, is really around their risk, if you like, of things like choking and their vulnerability. And also the procedures are slightly different, aren't they, for children under 1. So that's the reason for sort of separating out the age groups. So if they are under 2, children under 2 in larger settings, then somebody needs to be on site at all times, as is the current EYFS status. If the setting has children who are 2 to 5 in that setting, then you'll hear the terminology best endeavours within this guidance, and in this situation they are asking people to use their best endeavours to ensure that there should be somebody on site at all times. If you have tried everything that you can to make sure someone is, and you can't make that happen, then it clearly states what you need to do. And that's things like thinking about risk assessments, and it's thinking about what other first aid qualifications might be suitable. So things like first aid at work or emergency paediatric first aid. It's about having somebody on site with the relevant knowledge. The other change around paediatric first aid is for new entrants into a setting. So these are newly qualified staff. So provisionally, previously, they would have had to have had full first aid qualifications within 3 months of starting in a setting to be counted in the ratios. So this is one of those exemptions that doesn't apply during the coronavirus outbreak. So there's a section also in the guidance around settings, looking at qualifications and ratios. So again, this is thinking about those larger settings. And in terms of the safeguarding and welfare requirements, which everybody is meeting and everybody is delivering, everything there still applies. And in particular, just to think about your child protection arrangements. So really making sure that you're aware of any vulnerable children in your care, having a quick check of your policies to make sure that they're all up to date, and refreshing yourself with any safeguarding training, obviously online training that you can access during this time. You obviously still need to think about your requirements as a designated safeguarding lead within your setting, But you know, as far as everything else goes, keeping children safe and looking after their welfare during this time is crucial. So do take a look at the guidance and do let us know if you have any further questions. Thank you very much.